Hello, my dear subscribbles. In case you haven't noticed, I'm making a new Jurassic Park/World movie. And, that's pretty good. I like the original trilogy, and Jurassic World was pretty good. And I haven't seen the next one, and I probably should. But, I'll get around to that when I get around to it. But a big theme in this new upcoming movie, Dominion, I think it's called. I'm bad with names. Is the whole premise of humans and dinosaurs can't coexist, and kind of vaguely implying that humans will go extinct if dinosaurs were to come back. And even if the movie specifically isn't going with that plotline, it's a huge thing I've heard, the idea that if dinosaurs showed up, humans would go extinct. And I'm here to tell you why that's complete and utter nonsense. Now, I'm explicitly not talking about old Stone Age caveman humans. I still think they would survive, but it's a little bit more iffy. Rather, I'm talking about modern-day humans. Like, if dinosaurs suddenly popped up in our world, would humanity be screwed? Well, similar to the zombies thing, no, humanity would utterly dominate them. Because, first of all, we have to consider what is a dinosaur. Now, even if we give them some leeway and let them keep the pterodactyls and the giant sea monsters, all that jazz, which aren't actually dinosaurs, but we'll give them the leeway for this scenario, they just don't stand a chance. First of all, many dinosaurs will be small bird-like creatures. These are effectively no different than chickens and emus, and unless you're Australia, you should be fine. Now, the bigger ones are a bit more tricky. If we go to the medium-sized ones, like Triceratops, Allosaurus, those guys, Stegosaurus, Ankylosaurus, those guys would be powerful and could certainly pose a threat to a few humans. But the problem is, they get taken down relatively easy by small to medium gunfire. Like, unless the skin is made out of plutonium, which is suspiciously resistant to all forms of bullets for some BS reason, then no, they would still be vulnerable to small or medium arms fire. And they would eventually just get taken down. The biggest ones are, in fact, even bigger targets. Now, I would say something like a Brontosaurus would probably do the most damage, simply because of how big one of those things are, and we're assuming that the whole bunch of them being spread out. But the problem is, despite their damage and probably resistance to most forms of normal gunfire, even if we say they could stand up to a tank, which I'm willing to say is probably not true, they would be massive, which is indeed part of what makes them dangerous, but makes them ridiculously easy for artillery and airstrikes. And that actually leads to my big reason of why dinosaurs couldn't possibly lead to the extinction of mankind. Because fundamentally, yes, dinosaurs would be dangerous if you were just a few humans dropped like in an island full of them, but the world would just react to them with simply, let's exterminate/capture them. It wouldn't even be a challenge. Now, okay, it would be a fight. I'm not saying there wouldn't be fights involved, but unless you're Australia, finding a bunch of overgrown chickens isn't that difficult. So, fundamentally, it wouldn't lead to the extinction of mankind. Simply put, because the dinosaurs don't have the firepower. Because that's the thing. They might be tough, but if you notice, a lot of Jurassic Park or those types of movies have to carefully construct circumstances where the dinosaurs even pose a significant threat to a large number of humans. They're always on islands, they're always in isolated areas or parks, or they're in lost land where support is far away. And the characters always have a suspicious amount of guns or protection, despite what you think they have for these kind of areas. And despite what movies will tell you, dinosaurs are almost certainly not bullet resistant. Maybe Ankylosaurus could take a few rounds, and they're big creatures, so like a bear, they could probably shrug a few. But fundamentally, if you shoot anything enough, it will generally start to die. Only really Brontosaurus, I think, has a good enough chance to be totally immune to small arms fire. But once again, they just become big targets for bigger guns. And the real question is, the dinosaurs are creatures. They aren't like demons straight from hell that don't need to worry about eating, breathing, or sleeping. They're animals. So that means two things. One, they aren't going to organize themselves in a fashion to go invade and take over the humans. They're just going to act like animals, which means they'll spend more time hunting each other than they would actually humans, due to our size and relative weirdness to them. And on top of all of this, they still need to, find time to eat, sleep, reproduce, and make more of them. Because the dinosaurs aren't coming from a boil-in-a-bag thing where there's the portal beneath the earth and they're all just coming out of nowhere. They have to breed, which means they'll be vulnerable, it takes time, and we could shoot them all down. Even if we did give them some arbitrary portals around the world that cause the dinosaurs to spawn, we would just fortify those positions with like a ton of artillery and turrets, and anytime a giant overgrown lizard so much as stepped out of it, it'd be blasted to oblivion. Even if we give it a primordial type scenario where these portals show up at random, it would just lead to militarization of high effect areas like cities where they'd be highly dangerous, and smaller areas would simply take to arming themselves more effectively, more than they already do. I would imagine you'd see the liberation of weapons specifically for this purpose. So I guess gun laws would probably change. And that leads to my real thing. Not so much that I think dinosaurs could ever possibly destroy the human race simply because they don't have the power to do it, but rather, what effect on society would it have? That is an interesting question. Sure, we could utterly annihilate them back to the Stone Age, but once again, humans could probably, with very limited exception, exterminate any species we wanted to who were determined enough. Only a handful, I think, could possibly survive if every human was fully interested in killing it off. But that does lead to a question. Is how would society react to it, like I said earlier? Well, first of all, you're going to get some random hippie people saying, don't shoot the dino, because, don't shoot the giant carnivorous animal trying to eat you. But that would lead to a debate of how far the extermination should go. Should humans exterminate every single dinosaur we see to restore the ecosystem? Should we let some live, only kill the ones that are dangerous? What is dangerous? Does it have to actively be attacking a population? Or does it have to just be, existing at all? Do we kill all T-Rexes on sight, or only when they're dangerous? Is there, perimeters where dinosaurs are allowed to live, but if they cross it, they get shot? Does it depend on species, I imagine? Is something like a Brontosaurus so ecologically damaging to our modern world that fundamentally bombing them with artillery is the only sane option? And there's another question. How would dinosaurs even survive in our modern world? Ignoring any environmental changes as being superficial, which they probably wouldn't be, there's just so many new animals that dinosaurs never had to deal with. It's heavily theorized that part of what hurt a lot of dinosaurs towards the end of the Cretaceous was early mammals stealing their eggs. Well, mammals have grown a lot since then. We have a lot more diverse ways of stealing your eggs. So if they were already getting a bit hurt by basically basic rats, then imagine all the things they had to deal with. What's a baby Brontosaurus supposed to do against a tiger, or a lion, or a mountain lion, or even just a pack of wolves or coyotes? And that's another thing, is that it would just change the game completely. It would, and not to mention how life would respond in return to the dinosaurs. They might come with new tactics to dealing with them, assuming they could adapt. And then there's the whole how we view culturally. First of all, any debate to how dinosaurs look would probably be shot down. But then, of course, that answers how they get here. Did some time traveler do something? Is there a warp in space and time you'd be concerned with? Is there a mad scientist cloning dinosaurs? And these questions would have to be asked by everybody and eventually answered. So all of this to say is, which I think is a big deal despite I spent most of the video on it, I don't think if dinosaurs were to come back, it would be the extinction of mankind. Simply put, mankind is far too powerful, and the dinosaurs are far too weak to ever significantly put up a fact to mass humanity. Dinosaurs are only sufficiently dangerous in limited situations. It's like taking a movie. You can make a movie where you're being hunted down by a lion or a pack of wolves, and that could be a very gripping movie in the modern day, but it has to, have circumstances where there isn't going to be a massive army who's just ha ha ha, a lion guns go burr. Because that's what would happen. Because humans are a very intelligent monkey, and we have outsmarted every other creature on the planet. Except maybe the ones that except maybe dogs. I think they might have slightly outsmarted us. But, at least when it comes to the fact that we can feed them. Because, fundamentally, no species on the modern-day Earth can truly challenge mankind in a fair fight, and dinosaurs certainly aren't going to change that. Ultimately, we've outgrown the fear of dinosaurs. If dinosaurs represent, in a way, a primal fear of the big, scary lizard or dragon-like creature, then mankind has outgrown it. We're simply too powerful for dinosaurs or big scary lizards to truly pose a threat to us in any realistic way. And in some ways, that does lead to the question, what does that say about mankind? When the big scary creature that lurks in the dark isn't the thing you had to be afraid of, the big scary creature in the dark needs to be afraid of you. Either way, that will leave you some food for thought. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and comment more ideas in the video. See you later. Yeah. Hey, why don't you hit that sub button? You're gonna become a subscribble. Get to see my content quicker. Wouldn't that be nice? I bet so.